you have to take the approach. This is definitely a long game. So you're planting seeds right now that are not going to bear any fruit for years. And we're being very honest with you right now. You talk about this a lot. It's just, you do it, you're consistent, and a year, 24 months down the road, then maybe you'll start to see some stuff sprouting out of the ground, right?
Mhm. I always enjoy these conversations where you and I can dig into the biggest mistakes. Now, again, we're going to be talking with Jason Pritchard, who was a featured speaker at our Vegas event celebration. Jason and his wife, Jen, did an awesome job kicking us off. So it might be kind of interesting to ask them, or ask Jason in this case, about his biggest mistake. Jason, let us know.
Yeah. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I just posted a piece of content about this. And what I feel like was one of the biggest mistakes I made early on is not documenting my journey from the beginning. On social media specifically, right? So I think there's a lot of limiting beliefs and fear that people have regarding, just kind of sharing content, creating content. Imposter syndrome is a big thing. And I let that hold me back for a very, very long time. And if you guys follow me, go over there and watch that video. And I actually found a clip of the very first Instagram story that I ever posted from January of 2019. And at that point in the video, I actually say, I'm here standing in front of my 26th rental property. So it took me 100 deals, and it took me buying 26 rental properties before I had the courage to actually turn the camera around and talk just a little bit about what I had going on. And I wish that I had started that process from the beginning for lots of different reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into today.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because again, what I've seen you do since that recording or since that posting is you've just continually improved. You let that imposter syndrome grow, and your accomplishments because of social media, I don't think go unsaid. You've raised millions of dollars,
Tens of millions of dollars, tens of millions.
tens
Yep.
of millions of
Yep.
dollars from people that ordinarily would be outside your network.
Yeah. There's so many ancillary benefits to just documenting your journey. And for the people that are hesitant, the way that I look at it is like, this is our new business card. This is our new resume. This is the
Exactly.
way that people will look to look you up to see if you're legit. And if you have, I mean, you can go on my page. I mean, now I've got years, right, of constantly posting, constantly talking about deals, constantly talking about the returns that I'm providing for my private, all the different things that we do in our business, right? So anybody that wants to vet me can come get attached to me or follow me from a piece of content. They can follow along with my journey for months or years sometimes. And then eventually when I say, hey, we've got an opportunity to work with somebody for private lending or whatever the opportunity is, right? They've already gotten to know me a little bit, right? And so
Mhm.
that familiarity process has already kind of taken place. And so, yeah, I think people look at social media and it can be much like a highlight reel. And there's people out there portraying things that they're not doing. Obviously, we're not trying to, tell you to do that, right? I think it's
Mhm.
coming from a place of authenticity, being very genuine, and trying to speak. I focus on speaking to the version of Jason when Jason first started, and I'm trying to provide value to that version of Jason, right? And I think I wish all the things that I know 10 years of being in this business, right? I want to transfer that to the Jason that was sitting in his cubicle in corporate America that had all these questions and these fears and different things, and just be like, here you go. Here's exactly how to do it. And I think that's the goal. All the other stuff will just come as a fringe benefit to that. The money, the opportunities, JV partner, all the other things that also come from it will happen. But if you have to come from a place of authenticity.
Well, that's the key. When you look at your quote unquote highlight reel, you include the losses.
Yeah.
If you're following somebody that all they're doing is the highlight reel, it's really easy to get skeptical. But if
Yep.
you are documenting the process, everybody takes L's.
Yep.
Everybody, whether it's actually L's meaning financial or misses or deals blow up or relationship nonsense, it's all just a part of who you are. And I mean, I saw this post the other day. It's like, how many of us would love to see Jeff Bezos back when Amazon was just starting,
Isn't that
right?
crazy? Like, I
It's
mean, it would be so cool to be able to see from day one and like, that's what I really, I don't have lots of regrets in this business, man, but like, I wish that I could, for personal reasons and also for
yes.
the stuff that we're talking about, I wish I could just go right on my phone, zoom back 10 years and look at the stories and the posts and the content I created around my very first flips, around my very first appointments going on sellers, around my very first rental that I bought, and just see the actual evolution. I think there's lots of personal satisfaction I would see out of the growth that I've achieved. And then it would be really cool for people to go along on this ride with you. You know what I mean? Because that's what this vehicle that we're on right now, it allows people to just kind of share in this journey if you're doing it the right way, which I think is really
Well,
cool.
I would even want to go back earlier. I want to go back to Jason and Jen. You're 6 months in,
Yeah.
and you're still consuming bigger pockets, and you could, a video might have been, oh my god, I just watched, Brandon Turner talk to so and so or whatever, right? Because I'd love to even see Jason before, when you had zero, and
Can
you're,
you imagine, dude, like me in my cubicle, like having the courage to talk to I don't even think Instagram was the thing back then, but let's just assume that it was, or it's right now, right? Like, could you imagine like having the guts from inside the cubicle to say and call your shot and just be like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I've been in this cubicle for 15 years. I don't like it. I want to do something different. I've always dreamed of doing real estate, and I am making the commitment to the 3 people that are watching me right now that I'm going to start following my dreams, and we're going to start documenting this journey. And I'm just going to take you in the day of the life of what I do every single day. And some days it's going to be really boring and I'm going to have nothing to share. Other days I'm going to share my wins, the ups, the downs, everything in between. That would be so awesome, dude. And
yeah.
yeah, I always go back to the first deal, but honestly, it would be even cooler to go back there, right? Like, I think
Like
that
I'm
would be
about to walk
yeah,
into my boss's office and
yeah,
give him the
right
middle
now.
finger.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that would be awesome. But I want to talk about the rewards, because again, we just highlighted earlier that you've raised tens of millions of dollars. That's just one of the benefits. You have deal flow that come from social media, correct?
It's a significant amount of deal flow that comes from social media, and it's pretty cool. I think for me, social media, you have to take the approach, guys. If you're on the fence about this, you have to take the approach. This is definitely a long game. So you're planting seeds right now that are not going to bear any fruit for years. And we're being very honest with you right now. You talk about this a lot. It's just you do it, you're consistent, and a year, 24 months down the road, then maybe you'll start to see some stuff sprouting out of the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, 2019, we're 2024 now, legitimately 5 years of consistency, hard work, everything. I started with a couple hundred followers. Now we have 8,000 followers on Instagram, all organic, just through steady, consistent posting and creating of content and growth. And deals are definitely one of the things. We did a deal earlier this year because somebody was following me on Instagram and listened to my Bigger Pockets interview. And they were very similar position in corporate America, had recently transitioned away, was working as a real estate agent in San Diego, and they had a family member in Fresno that had a house. His uncle had a problematic tenant that they couldn't get rid of, and they just connected us because he was like, "Dude, I listened to your Bigger Pockets interview, and I was really motivated and inspired. I've been following you for a few months. My uncle has a tenant that's not paying, and we bought that deal, sold it in January, did very well on it. They did well. He got paid. The uncle, was very happy with the deal. It's just a win-win all the way around. It was really good.
Yeah. So okay, raised money, tens of millions, found deals. You've also found and created partnerships from
Absolutely,
doing this.
absolutely. One of the things that I really genuinely like doing is partnering with other investors because I feel like, especially when you're new. And I remember because I did this at the beginning too. There were opportunities that I had that I just felt more comfortable operating and doing the deal with a safety net. And what I mean by a safety net is partnering with a proven operator in my market, right? It's like, hey, I did all the work to get the deal, right? I've got a little bit of money and maybe some time to contribute to managing the project, but I don't have all of the pieces to get it from A to Z, right? And you know, you can push yourself outside of your comfort zone and make it happen. And I did a lot of that too, but a lots of opportunities just come where it's just like, hey, I just would feel more comfortable learning from you and your team. This way I can participate. I'm not stressed out of my mind. I don't have to go raise money from people that I don't even know how to do any of that stuff. I don't have to go find contractors that I don't have in my network already. And so there's lots of benefits with that too. And so, yeah, we partner with a lot of people that, beyond just the financial reward, like you're legitimately changing people's lives, dude. Like I've I've seen the look on so many people's faces when we close a deal and we go to the title company to go pick up the check or whatever, and they walk out with the check for 30,000 or $50,000. You know what I mean? It's just this, it's this life-changing thing, dude, where it's just like, it's such an amazing feeling for me. And I don't ever want to stop doing that, man. Like for
No.
me, I would love to continue to create a vehicle where honestly we can create a ripple effect that goes out even further and wider and impact more people that way, man. It's a really amazing thing.
And then something you've just recently done, and again, this is all because you're social media and documenting your story, is now people are coming to you and they really started begging you for kind of mentorship or I guess I'll call it mentorship, right?
Yeah,
Basically
yeah,
saying, Jason, I want to buy parts of your time. And you were
absolutely.
apprehensive for a while.
I was
Um,
very apprehensive, and I'm sure that you've experienced this too, because I think we're naturally givers at heart, right? So I've wanted to always help people. So
oh yeah.
all of the events, all the things that we've done prior to this, it's all been free. I couldn't tell you how many lunches or coffee meetings or Zoom calls or phone calls that I'll just take, and because I just want to genuinely try to help people. And it reached a point where my business has grown so much. We have so many things going on that it's just not feasible to sit down with every single person that wants some time, right? And so, we reached a stage where, it did make sense to start looking at maybe like some more formal mentorship programs. So that's when we launched, our coaching last year. That's been really well too, and it works right for the people that want to take things a little bit more serious and are ready to kind of get invested in their future and speed things up. So for me, that's been another ancillary benefit because we've had I think Michelle on your show, Miguel
Mhm.
Ochoa has been on your show. I mean, people that again talk about changing lives, man. Michelle, it's
Yeah.
just such a cool thing. Like April, we first started working together, and she's done. I mean, she has 3 deals in contract right now. I was just texting her the other day. She's raising private money like crazy. I mean, like all of this cool stuff. Like in 9 months, I remember my first 9 months, I almost quit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
you
so
did.
for her, yeah, like I almost tapped out, and I was like, dude, this isn't for me. And in her first 9 months, I mean, it's been like this crazy like trajectory that she's gone on. So like that's another
And that's
amazing thing
real
as a
time. I
mentor
mean,
to her.
this
Yeah.
is started from scratch, high rates, high prices. She's still finding
April of
ways.
23 is when we started. I mean, like, and she had very little experience prior to that. So from
Oh
April
yeah.
of 23 to March now, so almost a year, I guess now. I mean, she has gone on this crazy run, and we've been able to duplicate that success with a lot of the people that we're working with. So that's been really cool too.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to your opening speech at the ORaaT 50,000 sub event in Vegas. Very appreciative that both you and Jen came to that. I thought it was wonderful how Jen was almost like a detective and went back and found your early conversations. One of my big takeaways is you and Jen have always talked money.
Yep.
And I don't think that's it. I don't think a lot of people are doing that early in their relationships, but they
Yeah.
should. You got to figure out if you have the same money mindset.
And I think the reason why a lot of people don't, and we struggle with this too, because it's usually a point of contention. I mean, it would a lot of times end up turning into an argument when we were talking about money, right? So it's
Sure.
not an easy conversation to have when you're not managing your personal finances properly. And then when you go to talk about it, becomes kind of accusatory. And it's like, well, you spent this and then you bought this, and what, you're telling me to hold back when, blah, 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 blah. And then it just the wheels come off really quickly. And to our credit, we worked through that because we had all of those same issues. So if you guys are listening to this and you and your spouse are in that space, I trust me, I know exactly what you're going through. And you just have to keep pushing forward. If doing the real estate investing thing is that important to you, you will find a way to figure this out, right? And usually it starts with me. Like I was the driver in this situation, right? With me, I had to kind of swallow my pride and approach that conversation with a little bit more humility. And I just kind of said like, hey, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. What is it going to take financially for us to do it? What do you need me to do? You know what I mean? Like, do I need to stop this? Do I need to cut this out? I will do whatever I need. And it was when we got to that point and she could tell that I was really serious about it. I think that gave her the confidence to, take this leap with me. You know what I mean? But I think
Mhm.
personal finances, if your personal financial house is not in order and you can't manage the money that you're bringing in now, think about it like this. If you can't manage that money now, what makes you think that you have the acumen and the skills and the everything that it takes to manage 10x the amount of money, right? We're talking about a lot of money here. You know what I mean? Like, any asset that you buy, at least in California, is a couple $100,000, right? So
Yeah.
if you can't manage 15 or $20,000 a month, what makes you think you're going to do this? So start there, start there, figure that out, get that plan together like we did, right? And then start slowly building from that point, because if the bad habits follow you as you're going on this
Oh,
journey up, the money's going to go just as fast as it comes in.
yeah. What I would tell you is if you don't get on the same page with your significant other, or even if you're single, if you don't get on the same page with yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know where you are, start there. I mean, that could be step zero, right?
Yep.
Look at your financial house today. How much credit card debt? How much income? Shoot, could you answer this question? How much discretionary income do you have a month? Do you know? Do you have a guess?
Yep.
Go figure it out,
Yep. The first
right?
step for me is figure out how much money is coming in every month and how much money is going out. That's it. Step number one. So
Yeah.
and that's very easy to do. You look at your bank account and go back 3 months or 6 months, and you take the average of all of the deposits that are coming in, and then you take the average of all of the expenses coming in. And ideally, there's some money left over. And if there's
Ideally.
not any money left over, we have to fix that problem first. That's it. We have to take the expense column and start with an axe and just
Working.
start whacking it. You know what I mean? And then we come in
Amen.
with the scalpel, and then we start like slowly taking out the other stuff with precision and the things that we need to do there. But most people, you'd be amazed, dude. Like, we went from dual income household where I was the main breadwinner making most of the money, right? Jen had just recently got a promotion, so she was making more money than she was making the time before. But when you took my income away, we took like a 50% haircut. So it was like
Yeah.
significant, like a significant drop down. And not only were we able to save more money than what we were actually spending, but we also paid off student debt. We paid off cars. Like, it is crazy what you can do when you make a
Get
commitment
focused.
and you get
Yeah.
very, very serious and you get focused. You can accomplish a
Together.
lot. Yeah.
Together. You're on the
Yep.
same. That was the big thing I took from the presentation is A, you talked about money, which most couples do, certainly don't do early. But you also stayed on the same page,
Yes.
right? And that
That
takes
was
consistency.
this is a huge thing, okay? And I want to expand on this. So the reason why, and I don't say this to brag or anything like that, but I personally, right now, I can truthfully, honestly say on this show right now, I've never been happier in my life or my marriage than I am right now in this moment. And I'm not saying that to say that. That's how I genuinely feel. And I wake up every day feeling that way. The main
I just so
reason,
you know, I think Jen would say that too. Just so
I
you know.
think I know that she would, and the main reason why I believe that to be true, okay, is we have worked very hard about growing together, not growing apart, and it's very easy when you get into this business and one person like me, for example, starts to ascend and my trajectory starts to go off in this completely different place that none of us were ever really planning or expecting for the other spouse to get left behind for different reasons. You know what I mean? And and there's been times, honestly, prior to this where Jen was moving past me and I had to be the one to kind of catch up a little bit. Right. And so for the 18 plus years we've been together at every facet, prior to real estate, when we started real estate, now we always made it a priority to grow together. We never grew apart. And I took that, honestly, that was a lesson that I took from my dad, because my parents got divorced when I was like 16 years old. And when I got to a space when I was old enough to kind of talk to my dad about their experience, and he told me and your mom, we just kind of grew apart. You know what I mean? And that was very true. Looking back as a kid, I can observe them just on two different life paths, right? And they just became two kind of different people that were living together and raising a family. And Jen and I never grew apart. And that's not easy to do. And especially, I'll give her a lot of credit, because for me, I'm very active on social. I'm out on events. We go out town. Everybody knows me, all this stuff, right? And it can be not the easiest thing to deal with. There's definitely perks. And we talked about some of those perks at the beginning of this, but there's downside to that stuff too. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's, you don't want to have all your stuff out there, and, you don't want to be like, okay, I got to get a video right now. You know what I mean? And all of this stuff. And, I'm naturally kind of an introverted and private person. You wouldn't maybe believe that, like, if you
What's
just
that?
started following me, but like for me, it would be cool just to just chill, you know what I mean? And not like go on vacation and not do this, or like go out to a job site and just look at it and not feel like, okay, we've got to get some content for the business and all that stuff too. But there's give and take with this. And that's the cost of entry and the price of admission that you pay when you make a commitment to doing this in an authentic way. Sometimes you're going to have to do it even when you don't feel like doing it. And that can sometimes cause stress and strain on your marriage. But we both realize and see the value in it. And going back to communication and growing together and understanding that there's a bigger reason why we do this stuff, it's allowed us to thrive in our marriage, man. So grow together. If one person starts outpacing the other one, right? This person here has to make sure that they don't go so fast that this other person feels left behind, and they've got to do everything that they can to lift that person up with them. And then this person here has to shift gears and catch up. You know what I mean? It's got to be a mutual thing. And we've done I would say, a very good job of making sure that we grow together, not apart.
Well, the other thing that I've always admired about you two, and I've watched this in admiration, and I've actually shown Olivia when we're on the couch or whatnot, is you guys purposefully take, what you might call lots of trips or vacations,
Yeah. Yep.
right? That is your thing, right? Is sometimes you're in it, you're going 100 miles an hour, and some, pretty regular, you jump out and like, we're gonna go be us
Yep.
for a little bit.
And I encourage everybody that's married, you need to figure out a way to invest in your marriage. Investing in rentals and investing in property and your business and stuff, obviously that's an important thing, and that's kind of the vehicle that allows you financially to do all of this stuff. But for us, even when we didn't have any money, and even when we were younger and first got together, travel was always something cool. And it wasn't the kind of travel that we're doing right now, but it was like we would just go take a road trip somewhere, or we would go do something, and we always felt a deeper sense of connection in our lives and our marriage when we spent and invested that time. So usually at least once a year, we would always do that. And then in 2017 or 18, after our business started to take off a little bit, we had excess capital. Like, let's be more intentional about doing the things that pour into our marriage, right? And so for us, it's always been travel. And so we made a commitment to once a quarter, we want to travel and take a trip somewhere. And that's turned into some amazing experiences. And those are things that, honestly, like, I look back and there's lots of cool things with the business, but I can look back right now on all in my mind's eye and just visualize all of these cool experience and trips that we've done, not just with us, but with our family. Like we do cool stuff with, like, my dad grew up in New York and he's a huge New York Knicks fan. So for his birthday, I bought him courtside tickets for us to go watch the Knicks play at the Garden. I've never been there before. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, something like that, right? Where we're allowing the business to become the vehicle that allows us to have these experiences that I know that's an experience that me and my dad are going to share, that we'll never, ever forget that, right? All of these cool things that Jen and I do, we do that. And so I think something that I hear from mentors of mine now that are older and in a different season of their life and their business, almost consistently across the board, they all say, man, I just wish I would have spent more time enjoying the journey. I wish I would have spent more time with this. And they're up there in age that they can't go back. So I took that to heart, and I was like, we're going to make this a priority. Cause you and I know, man, like, we have today. That's it. Tomorrow's over. Yesterday's over. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We have right now, and that's what we have. And we've got to, learn to live in that moment and smell the roses a little bit along the way.
Yeah, there was a presentation I think you and Jen missed because I think it kicked off day two, was Coach Carson. And one of the big things about Coach Carson's conversation was this. I can still visualize it. It was a graph, and at the top of the graph was the word enough. It's like, what are we doing? Like Coach Carson's case, he wanted to travel the world. He wanted to go live in different, like, live, not travel, not like go visit Mexico or
Yeah.
or Costa Rica. He wanted to live there, right? So he had his family live in different foreign countries for a year and a half. It's just an amazing story. Um, but it's because you can build this business to enough. And you know this, right? Olivia and I got to a point, we're not running as hard as we were, not even
Mm-hmm.
close,
Yep.
right? We're still doing a deal or two a year, whatever it is, but we're not humping it like we used to. And that's because we chose to sat down, right? We chose to get to some vista point on the mountain that was good enough for us. And I bring this up because there's a lot of people, even like at our age, that just keep moving the goalpost. Like, I want to be a million or 10 million or 100 or a billion. It's like,
You know what
guys,
happens when you hit that? Nothing. That's been my experience. You know what I mean? Like, we're achieving, like, all of these things that I thought were honestly not even possible for me at the beginning. And we've done them. And then you get there and there is like getting to 100 units was a big thing for me for whatever reason. It was just like, we want to get to 100. It's like, that's the number that I had in my head. I was so driven and focused. And then we got there, and then, nothing happened really. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was cool in that moment. And I made a post about it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. You know what I mean? And then a few hours later, after literally, it was like, okay, we're back to the next thing. And so you have to be really, really careful about doing that. I do, on one hand, because I am very driven by goals and things like that. So I do think that it's important for me to, if you're in that season of your life in your business where you want to stretch and you want to keep pushing and you want to do that, I think it's okay to do that. But you also have to know that it's the process. It's not the goal, right? Like, the goal or the destination is never really what it's about. It's about everything that it's going through the process and your evolution as a person, and as a business owner and as a husband or a spouse or whatever. It's that, to me, is what's really cool, because going through that process, getting there, you become a different person at that point. And now that's what I really enjoy. And so it's like, okay, hey, if we go up here now, Jason's got to become a different person to get to this space. So what's it going to take? What am I going to have to do? What changes am I have to make in my life and my business and my marriage in order to get there? And that, to me, is more of a satisfying feeling than like, oh, we got to X amount of dollars in the bank account, or we made this much money this month, or whatever. Like, that wears off really, really quickly.
Yeah, the thing that I struggle with, and maybe it's just we're in different seasons, right? I'm a little bit older than you are. Um, I actually get more joy reaching down and pulling people up
Hmm.
than buying another apartment building.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we share that. And I think that that's something that has never gotten old for me. Like,
Yeah.
doing deals, I still do like doing deals, but checks and money and stuff like that, that wears off very, very quickly. But the look that I was talking about, like, I'm thinking about one particular instance right now where I remember I had a guy that used to do trash hauling for me. So he would just go clean out like our hoarder houses and stuff like that. And then I would encourage him to come to meetups. And I was like, bro, you should just come. You know what I mean? It doesn't cost anything. You just come and learn. Cause he was always asking me questions, and you can just tell he was more inquisitive than most of the guys that come out on the job site. And then, I told him, I said, do this, and then, if you come across something like this, let me know and I'll show you exactly how to do the deal. And then he started referring deals to me, and he would get a fee for doing that. And then we started doing deals together, because he just asked, he goes like, hey, if I put this under contract, can we partner? And I was like, sure. And there was a deal where he made like over $50,000 on that deal, right? And I remember him getting the check, and he took a picture of himself with that check, posted it on his Instagram account, and said like a lot of really nice things about just his experience working with me. And like, that, to me, is such an amazing feeling, man. Like, there is just nothing else that I have found that can duplicate that for me. And I'm sure for you, as the person that's the one that's lifting them up. And I think it's cool to figure out a way. I think you're in the season right now about how do we impact more people? What are ways that we can do that? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just an amazing thing to watch. And I think that's how you continue to pay this forward. We've been blessed. There's been people, I'm sure, that have helped you and helped me along the way, right? And it's our responsibility to continue to pay that forward and help the people that are coming up behind us.
Well, let's just bring this full circle, he said quickly. This all starts with documenting where you're at in the day to day. That's what this is. There are people that will be starting in 3 or 4 years that, if you document where you are today, you will be Jason Pritchard to them,
100%. Yep.
right? You have to see it that way. And again, documenting what you are, the realities, the wins, the losses, just
It adds a lot of credibility to you guys, right? And
yeah,
especially if you're the one that wants to reach up, right, to somebody that's ahead of you that would like some assistance or mentorship or guidance, I guarantee you the person you're reaching up to is going to look at you more favorably. If I can go and look and say, damn, this person has been very consistent for a number of
yeah,
years, right? Just on their dot, because that consistency muscle usually applies towards everything in your life. So
agreed.
if you're very consistent and your work ethic is there, and we see you doing these things, right, and you've been doing it for a long period of time, that directly relates to all of the things that you're going to need to do to be successful in your real estate business, right? So if I can see that you're doing that there, I'm going to take more interest in you because I can see that you've been putting in the work, right? But if you come and you talk to me about all the stuff that you've got going on and all the cool things that you want to do and this, that, and the other thing, but there's nothing, I can't find any track record. I can't do anything, right? It's a little bit harder for me to gauge how serious you really are. You know what I mean? And so I think this is free, like picking up your phone and
Yep.
turning it on yourself and talking to it doesn't cost any money, right? And everybody wants to like, what are the best way to find deals and do this and do that? All that stuff costs a lot of money, guys. So I'm
Mhm.
telling you right now, like if you want to just do something that requires a little bit of effort, requires no money at all, just the phone, which all of us have, in a social media account, just turn the phone around and start talking, guys, and sharing your journey, right? And I think
Yeah.
being consistent first, like if you want tactical stuff, I say being consistent on your stories is very important, right? Because that's where people look to see kind of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. So this is
Yep.
in my head, when my day starts, I look at my calendar, I look at my schedule, and I think, what are some of the cool things that I'm going to do today that I could very quickly in the moment, kind of impromptu, turn the phone around and just talk to everybody that's following me so they can see what kind of a glimpse of the day in the life is, right? And stay consistent on your stories during the week, 5 to 6 days a week, and integrate some personal stuff, right? For me, the majority of it is going to be real estate because the majority of my time is real estate. And then I sprinkle in some motivational and mindset stuff because that also gives me a charge. And then I sprinkle in travel and personal things too. You know what I mean? And that's basically what my life is, right? And
Mhm.
if you just start posting on your stories and doing that consistently and building the muscle of that, eventually you'll get to a space where you have a deal or a project or something will come up and maybe you can create some more polished or produced content that actually lives on your page, like a reel or something like that. And then you just follow that script and follow that, do 1 or 2 pieces of content a week and then do your stories consistently, be authentic, and don't try to recreate Zuber's channel or Jason's channel. Do what you're doing every day. Document that process. And I learned that from Gary Vee at the beginning, where it isn't creating content, it's just documenting what you're doing. Because if you're creating content, you're constantly like, what's the next idea and what's this and blah. And then you're inherently not being your genuine, authentic self because you're trying to like mirror and model what other people are doing. Right. And it's okay to look to see what's working, but it needs to be through your lens. And if you can focus on that and you're just documenting what you're doing every day, it's never going to feel like, okay, what am I going to create now? You know what I mean? And so just do that. Start there. Put your head down for a year, pick your head up in a year. If you do it consistently for a year and you come talk to me, okay, and you tell me this didn't work, I'll give you your money back, okay? Because it's not going to cost you anything, okay? So go do it for a year and then call me and then we'll see what the results are.
I want to make this clear. Hopefully it is for folks. What Jason just ran through is his story, my story, very real estate oriented. But everything he talked about, you could be a small business owner, you could be a preacher, you could be a
Anything.
painter, anything.
Yep.
Go do that. And
Yep.
then what I really love about this, and again, there's always surprises, is you really start to attract your tribe. And the beauty about a tribe or community is they're like you. They share some of the right because you click, you fit together like puzzle pieces. And when you see a community of like-minded puzzle pieces, it's amazing,
Yeah.
right?
It's really
Because
cool, dude.
the people that you don't click with, they don't show up.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
But that Vegas event was just such a testament to the community.
You have a tribe, dude, and it's very, very cool to see it. Jen and I were talking about that while we were there, and just after we had some time to reflect, and you can just see that you're speaking to the Zuber and the Jason that was there, right? And you can see that in all the conversations that we had. And you're 100% right. Like when you do this right, you will start to build your little tribe, dude, and it will just kind of grow organically and then the community drives everything. The community becomes like the momentum builder and what propels everybody forward, And I think that was pretty amazing to see the community that you built and all the people that were there, man. And it's definitely your tribe, dude. That was awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, now let's talk about your community. You have built a
Yeah.
community in the Central Valley, second to none. You are the best of the best. I've said that 100 times and mean it. You're putting on an event at a pretty big location. Let's talk about that. Where is it?
Yeah.
When is it?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got our 2-day Deal Champ Summit event. I'm doing it with my buddies, Dean Rogers and Stratton Brown. It's going to be April 19th and April the 20th. So a Friday and a Saturday. We are flying out some really big name speakers. We've got a loaded lineup, lots of really cool, free, valuable information. I think we started just leading with value, and we want the big event to mirror that type of stuff, right? So we don't want it to be a pitch fest. We don't want it to be anything like that. It's literally come try to transfer as much value to everybody that's there and give you the tools and the relationships and the mindset that you need in order to be successful in this business moving forward, man. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or interested in that, you can go to dealchamps.com/summit, and there's information on the date, the venue, tickets, all that stuff.
Yeah, you've done plenty of events before. I might be mistaken, but this might be your first 2-day event. Is that true?
First 2 day. We've got a really, really cool venue. So for those of you guys that are familiar with the Fresno area, there's a brand new casino that was recently built out here with a hotel and just a awesome space to hold the actual event itself. And so for people coming in out of town, there's hotels right there on site for you to stay. Tons of restaurants, shops, entertainment. So it's really, really cool. So I'm excited about the venue, excited about the event. It should be pretty awesome.
Very, very cool. Have you publicly announced any of the speakers yet, or is that still under wraps for a little while?
Yeah, no, we've got it. If you go to the dealchamps.com/summit, you can see all the speakers that we've got committed and lined up. Some really cool names. Austin Rutherford, Nick Perry. We've got who else is coming? My mind is kind of spinning right now, but go there and you guys can see everybody that's on there. I mean, there's so many people on there. It's a stacked lineup for both days, man. So it should be really cool.
Very cool. One more time, what was the website?
Dealchamps.com/summit, and it will be April 19th and the 20th in Fresno, California.
And if somebody wanted to follow you and or your amazing wife, Instagram the best place?
Instagram is the best. You can follow me at jasonpritchard.com, and Jen is Miss Jen Pritchard. Not .com, just our handles at Jason Pritchard and at Miss Jen Pritchard. You can go there, and we share everything, man. Like I'm more on the business, and Jen always says if you want to peek into our personal lives and see the cool stuff that she's doing around the house and all her stuff too, you can get both of that from following us, man. So
I gotta tell you, Jen Pritchard is a page that I count on to go to and smile.
She's an underrated follow for sure. Yeah, she definitely will put a smile on your face for sure.
There you go. Well, Jason, thank you for all you do. Thank you for being at the event. Have an amazing day.
Appreciate you, brother.